Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? You ready to head to Cincinnati?
Yes, I am. Yes, I'm ready for Cincinnati, and I think that the team actually is going to be even more ready than what I am. So, and our fans that are headed out there are definitely going to be ready. So, hey, man, let's get it.
I've actually had a bunch of people reach out to me and ask if I'm A, going to Cincinnati, and B, where am I tailgating? So, and on top of that, asking where the show is. So, if it's a Monday night game, we're always going to do the show probably most likely on Thursday just because, there's not as much to talk about. The team doesn't have to actually meet with the media until Thursday. So it makes it, easier because we want to talk about stuff that's relevant heading into the game. On top of that, you guys need to just subscribe. If you subscribe, you don't got to worry about it. It's just going to pop right up automatically. Helps the numbers. You don't got to stress. It just shows up right in your playlist.
Too
Makes it that simple.
easy. Too easy. Come on, guys. In this modern age of technology, just go ahead and do it. Do it.
Yeah. And any family members out there, hey, hit play. Just because you're subscribing, you still got to hit the play button. That helps out too. But we appreciate it. And we made an announcement on what was it, Monday, that our friends at Don't Sleep are back. And anyone that is going to an away game, I tweeted it out this morning. Grab some of those red berry shots. You can stick them in your carry-on bag. You don't got to worry about checking your bag once you get out there. I think it was when I went down to Miami and a couple other people complaining, like, you know how you've got those mini fridges at the hotels, right? A lot of
hmm
people, they'll try and grab like a Celsius or something like that. And I hear them complain, it's like $9. This thing ain't $9. You just bring it with you. You're good. Just stick it in the hotel fridge. The thing is tiny. It'll be cold. It'll be fine.
Not only is it tiny, but it packs a punch. Come on, guys, you're missing out. These things will keep you awake. They're called Don't Sleep for a reason, and they literally
Amen.
work. I will be having one in Cincinnati because I've got some serious things I need to be taking care of, which is going to take some time out for me. So I'll be up. So best believe I will have my Don't Sleep.
There you go. And if you guys are heading out to Cincinnati, I don't know where to tailgate. I'm sure there'll be something out there. I'm sure, we'll see if we can find something on Commander's Twitter. But did you see the latest announcement about our stadium that the team made?
Well, yes, I did, and that's why I have this hat on. If maybe you didn't see it, or maybe you did, I don't know. But this is my way of giving back as well, paying homage on the DMV Mess Hall to uh, Blackie Wetzel, so we can go ahead and get this thing taken care of. You know. And
So
let
for
me also say,
those, shoot,
this: at my rallies, I always pay homage to the old fight song, and I sing it at our rally. So for everyone who says that, you know, you guys are losing the ode uh, style, if you will, I always pay homage, and I will sing "Hail to the Redskins" at all my rallies.
you sure people don't just start chiming in singing "Hail to the Commanders" instead, or?
No,
We are the
they sing "Hail to the
Commanders.
Redskins."
I hear you, man, and I don't blame them. And I still get people messaging and asking, can I wear Redskins
Yeah,
gear to the stadium?
yeah,
Like, yes, you can. They are not
yeah.
shying away. And if anything, this shows it right here. And maybe this is to kiss that Montana senator's ass that was yelling and screaming about stuff.
I
And
think
those that
so.
don't know, go back and look at a different podcast we recorded. But those that know what we're talking about, the team put this up on their Twitter about 8 hours ago. It's Thursday, the 19th at 5 o'clock. It says located on the club level concourse outside section 307, a new memorial at Northwest Stadium honors the legacy of Walter Blackie Wetzel. And there's a plaque. And on the plaque, it is the old insignia there, the old logo. It
hmm
says, worn by Super Bowl winning teams and fans across the globe, this iconic logo, designed by Walter Blackie Wetzel, represented our organization for nearly half a century. A member of the Blackfeet Nation, Wetzel was a fervent advocate for indigenous communities, serving in roles as chairman of the Blackfeet tribe and president of the National Congress of American Indians during his life. After a 1971 meeting with the team about the decades-old R logo, Wetzel designed this logo to symbolize and pay tribute to indigenous populations and to honor the many values embodied by this country's first people, including strength, pride, courage, and service. I mean, it looks sweet. And what they've got set up is, I mean, it's up there on the club level. You can see some different pictures here. Looks like it's a picture of Doug and Riggo and Theismann all wearing the old logo. The problem I have is it's on the club level. So only a small amount of fans can see this. And I've got an issue with that. If you were going to do this where everybody can see it, not just, a select few that have your premium club seats can go in there and actually take a look at this thing.
Well, I think that's the whole reason why they did it that way, Ted, because they know a select few people will be able to see it. They don't want, even though it's already happening, they don't want the masses saying, well, if you did it here, then that means you're going to be changing the name. And we're fighting it, and we will continue to fight it. And like you said earlier, this is possibly a way to cool the jets off of the senator from, is it Montana? I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's Montana.
Yeah, yeah, the senator from Montana. And the thing is, the owner, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, he just can't come out and say, "We did this to honor you, and that's it. Leave it alone." They can't do it. So as long as, and I know he said previously that no, the name's not going back. I get it, but when you do stuff like this, it still creates that buzz. And I think that that's the reason why they did it in the club level and not just where the masses could see it.
I hear you, and you could be right. And there was a lot of space in the club level for things like this to happen. Those that haven't been up there, I mean, there's just a ton of room when you're walking around that concourse where it was just kind of blank and bare. So I get it. I just think that it just screams hollow, in my opinion, when you put it there. And those fans that are thinking it's, a lifeline that the old name's coming back, Josh Harris was on record saying, obviously the old name ain't coming back for, various reasons. So it's not coming. I would love to see this. I'd love to be there, take a picture with it. And, just when people come to the stadium, let them get a chance to come see it. But I just think it's unfortunate that this is where they put it. That doesn't mean that this is the last thing they're going to do. They could do something else. Who knows? Maybe this was just the easiest thing for them to do.
And they also could just be testing the waters. Like you said, something bigger and better might come down to the general population. And who knows? They listen to the show. So we've said it without saying it. Something should go on the 100 level section, main concourse.
And, we talked about the Sean Taylor statue that they're going to put out.
Mm-hmm.
And they got rid of the, the J.C. Penney wire mannequin, right? And at least that was on
Montgomery Ward's.
Yeah, maybe Montgomery Ward's. Maybe it was I can't even think. I'm dating myself too much, but at least that was on the 100 level so people could see it. And Sean's old locker that they encased in plexiglass was on the club level, right? That was another thing that I had a problem with. Like you're putting it up there so only those fans can see it. And Sean was for all of us, right? Not just those people that can sit up there and afford those premium seats. And it frustrates me when you have specific food that is up there. I really wanted the some of the ice cream from that Smith Mountain or whatever ice cream place during preseason just because it was hot. And I also didn't care about the game and wanted something just kind of refreshing to chill. But stuff like this, beating a dead horse, I just hope when push comes to shove and they decide to actually do the Sean statue and do other stuff, I just hope that when they do decide to do the Sean statue, and considering they said we're going to be here probably till 2030, so I hope the statue comes before then, that it's where the rest of us can see it, not something like this that is secluded where the masses cannot appreciate it. Someone put some hard work into this, and the only time I'm going to get to see it is by looking at this tweet.
Well, you know what? I almost think that it should go and replace the Solar Man. I really don't know what significance the Solar Man has, other than it's telling you that we have solar panels above a certain part of the parking lot. But beyond that, what does the Solar Man really tell you? Take that down and put the Sean Taylor statue and other statues right there where that is, where everyone can see it, because almost everyone walks by there.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this. I guess the Solar Man came in 2015, and it was a tribute to Earth Day. Burgundy and
Hmm.
gold goes solar. I had no idea. I mean, I know that we have those parking spaces out there for the solar energy and this and that,
Yeah,
and that's nice. All I know is you can't tailgate in that parking lot because of the solar panels. So it is what it is. And, that entrance is the entrance that's right next to my seats. So that's fine. I'm not sure if they still have some type of obligation, but I can't see them taking that installation down just because, it's a lot to have to remove that thing. But put it outside the stadium someplace. I mean, we
yeah,
talked
okay.
about that new piggy bank that they got out there. That thing's on wheels. That wheel that thing over someplace else and then put Sean's right there. Because after he had passed, basically outside will call and where the team store is now, they put a 21 there in the grass. And it kind of became a memorial for Sean to put something almost right there. And I'm like to bet a ton of money that no one that's employed by the team, other than maybe the individual that you and I work with behind the scenes, even knows that. But put something there where people can still see it and go from there, and then pick it up and move it to wherever the new stadium is going to be.
Baby steps.
Yeah,
Baby steps,
they're
baby
getting
steps,
there.
brother. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. Things, the ship is being right, and so we're taking our time, but it's going to get there. And all of these ideas, I'm sure, are being written down in a notebook for when that new stadium is built. That they want to break it all out.
Yeah, and I think the Senate is actually set to come together and vote in the next week or so. So I don't want to say they had any ulterior motives, but the fact that that is actually happening because there's a potential government shutdown coming and
Yeah,
so on and so forth, that, maybe they're trying to get this here because for those that remember or that are the show, right now, the bill to give D the land back or extend the lease is at the Senate level. So that senator from Montana is the one that is potentially holding this up, and they could be voting on it. Not saying they're actually going to, considering what's going on right now. It's an election year, but that is up for an actual vote. So we'll see what happens.
time will tell.
It will. It will. Moving on, though, from a power ranking perspective, we won. We got 7 field goals. I'm kind of tired of talking about it. That's all anyone has focused on this week since we got the dub. But we were 29th last week, plus or minus 3. Where do you think NFL has us right now?
Well, basically, because we did beat the Giants, but how we beat them, I'll say we moved down one.
All right. I'm starting to think that you figured this out before I sent it to you because we exactly went down one spot. We're 28. So maybe I'm going to give you plus or minus 1 at this point because you're getting really good at this. Like a year ago, you were horrible.
Well, it only makes sense when you think about it. I mean, because we didn't really win with a dynamic punch, if you will. We kind of just won.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to brag about a
Yeah, yeah,
win against the
yeah,
Giants where the Giants are so bad right now. And
yeah.
actually, I wonder where the Giants are. The Giants are still not last. That is still reserved for the Carolina Panthers, who are both 0-2. But it's like I couldn't even talk S to the Giants fans I know because we still didn't score a touchdown. Other than the fact that that's the first time we beat them in 2 years, so I'm going to enjoy it as long as I possibly can.
Oh, those are
But it
bragging
says
rights.
here, yeah, I mean, at least for now, and we don't play the Giants again until what, week 9? But it says Dan Quinn's first victory in DC won't earn him a ton of style points, but the Commanders got it done. A strong run game helped pick up Jaden Daniels and the lagging pass game. If Brian Robinson, who had the 2 longest runs of his career Sunday, and Austin Eckler can be as efficient as they were against the Giants, it'll be a big boost for Daniels while he figures out the necessary timing. He took 5 sacks and a touch. And while the staff tries to generate big plays through the air, the problem is that the Commanders don't face the Giants again until week 9. In between then, Washington goes up against some defenses that range from respectable to very good. Quinn's team also has to figure out its coverage issues on defense and knock out the silly penalties. But a win's a win. And I'll take it, man. It's A, I want teams to sleep on us, right? And B, I don't want the team's head to get too big, right? Because there is nothing to get a big head about at this point, unless you're Austin Seibert and you're happy that you're just on a team and not kicking balls at a pine tree with your wife and your daughter there.
Now this isn't a bragging rights type of game. This is just to say, hey, we got our foot in the water, and the water's still cold. The water is still cold. What's going to happen on Monday night? That's going to dictate how much we actually get. Will we go waist high in the water or not? But right now, we just got a foot in the water trying to test it out, saying it's cold. I think that more than likely, if we win, and it's a big if, all right, we beat Cincinnati. Oh, the heads will get big.
Oh, yeah, they definitely will. I mean, Cincinnati, screwed me and a lot of other people week 1, and I should have known, but they lost to the Patriots, and I took them in a survivor pool. So got knocked out week 1, and can't believe it, but, I didn't have any money on it. The Junkies had, I think, a couple $1 million that they could potentially win if they made it through this thing. But it's the 5th time in 6 seasons the Bengals have started off 0-2, right? So maybe their fans are just used to going 0-2 and then making the playoffs and doing well. But a lot of our fan base is like, oh, the Bengals, they haven't even won a game yet. But a lot of our fans, I don't think actually watched the game that they played versus the Chiefs. And did you see that Chiefs game?
Parts of it, not all of it.
So I went back and watched the Chiefs game, went back and watched the Pats game. And that Chiefs game, they lost 26-25. Just watch the last maybe 2 minutes of the game. The Chiefs got a pass interference call with 38 seconds left on 4th and 16. Right. Bailed them out. They had a walk-off 51-yard field goal to win the game. The score was 23-25. They hit a 51-yarder to end the game. I don't think it was a pass interference. Granted, just going back and looking at it, I know a bunch of people are bitching and screaming about it. But the thing is, they stood toe-to-toe with Mahomes, the Chiefs, and they damn near walked out of Arrowhead with that dub. So just because they're 0-2, you still got to kind of look behind it and how those games played. And I really think that Pats game was because they didn't have Jamar Chase during preseason. They still didn't have T. Higgins, who didn't play this past week either. And like us and a lot of other teams, it was still preseason game 4 for them. And I think the Patriots just kind of caught them off guard with a new coaching staff.
Man, you better respect the Bengals. That's all I can tell you about that. Because right now they are fuming and they're looking to take this out on somebody. And unfortunately, we're up next. So I will never back down from anybody, but at the same time, you better bring your hard hat and you better buckle up your chin strap because those guys are going to be ready to play. And yes, they have started in the last couple of years 0-2, 0-3, but the fact is they're always right there in the game. Now, I will say this, give us a little respect also, because we're going to, they may be expecting a jab. I think we're going to come up with some uppercuts and shock them a little bit, little body blows instead of straight to the face.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that they're going to come up with a game plan to at least kind of neutralize their defense to a degree with Jaden and B-Rob and Eckler and Ertz. I just can't get over how bad our defense is. But a little bit on the positive side, the last time we played Monday night, you were there. It was in Philly, and we won 32-21. So the Eagles were undefeated, and you guys went up to Philly, and we got that dub.
What a
So
game.
we got
What
a
a game.
chance.
And I didn't get a
Sure.
death threat. I didn't get a death threat in Philly either. So that just tells you, hey, things are getting better and better everywhere. So for everybody that's worried about Philadelphia, things are getting better. And so, like you said, we've got an opportunity to pull a rabbit out of the hat.
I think Philly's getting soft, though, because when I was there for a Caps game that we had to win and get in the playoffs, no one gave me crap either. And I talk a lot more S in the stands than you do. So maybe Philly's just getting a little softer in their old age. I'm not too sure.
Knock on some wood, brother.
I kind of want to go to that Philly game that Thursday night. I just haven't
Oh,
told Mrs. Tailgate about it yet, so we'll see
I
what's up.
can't wait.
I mean, obviously you're going to be there, but the last time we were the away team against the Bengals is a game that you and I were both at, and
Mm-hmm.
it ended in a tie. Except this one was in London in 2016, and you know what? I guess it was fitting that we went to Europe to go watch a game, a football game, and it ended in a tie. A little frustrating, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the last stadium to knock off the flag, or is there another one to go?
There's two. This
Two
one
more?
and then so yes, this one in Heinz Field. Or I think they changed the name from Heinz Field. I don't know what
Acrisure.
the okay, I'll take your word for it. Say that three times. But
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. And I'm looking forward to going to Cincinnati. I've never been to Paycor Stadium before. I've driven through Cincinnati plenty of times, but this time I'll actually be able to go as a tourist, if you will, a football tourist, and I'm looking forward to getting that stadium etched into the flag. I'm not even sure I'll be able to get it done before the Arizona game, but I'm going to try my best to go to Arizona with the new Paycor Stadium embroidered on the flag. And so I've got a lot of places that I want to hit. I've got my drone batteries all charged. I've got my places to go eat all set up. It's just a matter of getting through and getting there.
Yeah, it should be fun, and it's one of the stadiums I really wanted to go to this year because I wanted to go to Kentucky to the Bourbon Trail, the Bengal Bomb Squad, just good friends that I really wanted to kind of party with and hang out with out there. But then when they announced the game was gonna be Monday, I'm like, can't take off work for 2 days to get out there and do this and that. So I'm jealous of every fan that's gonna make it out there. Have some Skyline chili for me when you're out there. It should be a good time. I'm concerned with the matchup and what's going to happen. I mean, right now, from an offensive perspective, believe it or not, we're actually 10th in the NFL in yards. Right.
Hmm.
And I was kind of shocked to see that. And I guess maybe a lot of that is from this past week because we had 425 yards on offense. But then when I went back and looked at it last year, I mean, I think we were 25th this time last year in offensive yards. It's the points thing that's kind of killing us. Granted, first game against Tampa Bay, that was tough. I kind of chalked it up to Jaden Jitters and preseason four for everybody else, and Tampa actually being a damn good team. And then that past week, was it 425 yards of good offense or 425 yards of offense against a bad Giants team? I just don't know. And I think this game is going to be a real test to show us, okay, how much more work offensively has to be done. Because defense, I know what we got, but offense, is it smoke and mirrors right now? You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't believe it's smoke and mirrors. I believe we've got somebody at the helm who knows what to do with the ball. Like you said, once the jitters go away, maybe he needs to be like Willie Beeman and throw up on the sideline before the game or something. But the fact of the matter is, the kid knows what to do. He can sense the pressure. He's elusive. I think that Tampa Bay was a really good team, and we didn't play that bad. Yes, we took an L, but we didn't play that bad against them. Our kicking team made light out of things that made us look bad, and we did make mistakes. But being as it was the first game of the season, these guys are basically a hodgepodge of players put together to say, okay, make it happen. We didn't do too bad against that Tampa Bay team. Fast forward to New York. I said it before, and I'll say it again. You can see the pieces of the puzzle slowly coming together, and now these guys who were basically at the end of the spectrum slowly coming together. We still got to show up our secondary, but those guys have another week in the books of playing together. You're going to see some things, I believe, more communication. I think this is going to be a better game. I really do.
How concerned are you about Terry's slow start? I mean, right now he's got 8 catches for 39 yards. I mean, seems more of a decoy than anything to me.
I'm not worried about it at all. And the thing is, there's no reason to be worried about it. Terry has he's never been he's our number one guy, but he has never been that guy who just beat everyone. And he and Jaden are still getting that chemistry down. Talk to me game 7, game 8. And if his numbers are still the way that they are, then I'll be concerned. Right now, the fact is, we're trying to figure this thing out, and he knows it. Everyone knows it. So just, hey, folks, chill. Terry's going to get his catches. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get everything he needs. Just continue to let these guys figure it out.
So this is actually what Coach Quinn had to say about Terry.
In week 1 with Terry, he didn't get the ball until kind of midway through the third quarter for the first time. This week, you were able to get the ball into his hands a little bit earlier, but not for a lot of yards. How can you balance getting the ball to your explosive players and getting them the ball in explosive situations?
Yeah, well, I would say try to move Terry around into different spots, which, is important because he is, has that like playmaking ability. So you want to find the spots to go. As we're going just into our second, full lap together, there'll be more ops for him than we need them to be. What you don't want to do is force the ones that aren't there and make sure, even though in a certain route he may be the primary read, but if that one's taken away, that you don't force that one and go to somewhere else. I really respect that about Jaden of making good processing decisions. Sometimes you have a play design that's, going to go to one place and it's not there. So the worst thing you could do is try to force something in that's not there. And so I'm pleased that we're not doing that. Do we want to get him involved? Man, you bet, in the biggest way. And so the catch and run opportunities, I thought we had, 1 or 2 chances that we didn't go his way. One we had a penalty on that I thought on a trap pass. I think Nick might have been down the field on a slant. That was going to be a big place. That one doesn't count as one of the targets to go.
So 2 games in last season to start off the season, Terry was 7 for 85. So it's actually not far off from last year's stats and this year's stats. And this is a completely new offense, a new quarterback. And he didn't actually get cooking until week 4 against the Eagles. He had 8 catches for 86 yards. I mean, hasn't been just barn burner in regards to a number 1 receiver. I mean, you've said it. It's different for our receivers versus the Giants, who targeted Neighbors 18 times. We just, for whatever reason, regardless of the coaching staff, don't seem to target a guy or just, I don't want to say force feed a guy, but do what we can to make sure he gets his touches, right? You've got like Cooper Kupp with, the Rams, or you've got Tyreek Hill that, they just make sure they get the ball in their playmakers' hands. And I don't feel that regardless of what coaching staff we have ever done that here in Washington. Even going back to, Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson and Jordan Reed. We just never really tried to force those guys to get touches on the ball. And this is actually what Jaden had to say about the emphasis on Terry.
Hi, Jaden. Going into this next week, as you kind of got more comfortability with the offense, with working with Kliff and everything, how much of an emphasis has the offense put on getting specifically Terry the ball, since he is your wide receiver 1?
Yeah, I mean, go out there and pick the spots. I mean, obviously we got to get Terry the ball. But, at the end of the day, you got to spread the ball around. Defenses are going to key on Terry, respectfully, respect to him because of what he did in his league. But at the end of the day, man, when it's time and we have a one-on-one matchup, sometimes, Terry's out there, go let him win. But other than that, we're just going to keep playing our game. We're going to keep moving forward and just go from there.
I appreciate the young man's answer because you don't want to force it to Terry just because he's there. I'm sorry that Heineke shirt, his eyes closed. F it, Terry's down there somewhere. That's just not how you play good football, right? And he had 8 different people catch at least a ball last week. And I think you're going to have to do the same thing this week. And everyone likes to talk about who's our number 2, who's our number 2. Well, I don't know who that is. I mean, for you, who do you think the actual number 2 is?
Number 2 is going to be Noah Brown. He's going to be our number 2. And here's the other thing, Ted, and to our listeners out there, I feel is that Kingsbury is setting the defense is up as well as our fans for Terry to have a breakout game. All they have right now is a certain look of Terry on tape. And when it comes down to it, the defenses are looking at what they're doing, and Kingsbury is looking at what they're doing to what they're doing to Terry, what type of defenses they're running, they're calling for Terry. So I see Terry having a breakout game, possibly this game coming up on prime time under the lights. I don't know why, but I just feel it coming, and it's not that they're targeting him per se. There's because of Noah Brown's game-winning drive, if you will. They're gonna be forced to look at him and do more with him. And as long as you've got at least 2 guys on the field, they can't blanket that coverage on just Terry. They've got to respect another guy. So I see that Noah and also Ertz. We've got so many, if you will, pieces, and I hate to keep saying that, but we've got these pieces that are being utilized. Let the process play out, and you will see that Terry, it's going to be a natural progression. He's going to get the ball. And then you're going to be like, well, where was this all season? Well, it takes time. It takes time for those offensive plays to get set up to be able to get the ball to different guys. And we're seeing it each week. Continue to let it play out. And boy, I'm getting hyped, Ted. You see, you started me down this road. I'm getting hyped against Cincinnati. There's only like 2 pundits that are giving us an opportunity to win against Cincinnati. Well, make that 3. The captain is going with the doggone Commanders against Cincinnati.
I hear you, man. I'm not going to give my prediction yet, but this is actually what Coach Quinn had to say about Noah Brown.
Hey, Dan, how did Noah Brown fit in as a receiver and as a physical presence for you guys?
Yeah. Boy, what a first start for him, I thought, in a really cool way of having some trust already with Jaden. I thought Jaden absolutely ripped the dagger that went inside on the last drive to Noah. He's an aggressive, strong player. I think, he demonstrated that in the game. So he's worked really hard to try to, learn it and get involved. And so as he's going at the receiver position, it's really all hands on deck. And we like to feature the guys in different ways. I know it was a topic earlier, who's 2 and all of this, and I don't really see it that way. I see this as all hands on deck, and they go and attack and battle and feature them in different ways. And so I love that they play on special teams and return punts and cover kicks, and it really demonstrates team at the highest level. And so positions like that where you've got a lot of competitive guys, it's a lot of fun to coach.
I mean, just looking at it, I think Noah was the highest rated receiver last week, and rightfully so. I mean, he balled out, and it's refreshing to see that he did that well after just coming to the team at the end of preseason and just signing. And I think you're right. I think, to me, it's 1A and 1B between Noah and Zach Ertz. I feel that Ertz, given a chance, he's going to be a nice outlet for Jaden. Jaden realized a couple times last week that, hey, the week prior, Zach was open. Let me hit him. Let me give him the ball, and we got a chance. I mean, from a injury report perspective, Zach did not practice, but they were just giving him rest. They did the same thing last week. Luckily, no one else from the offense is on this list other than Brandon Coleman, and Coleman was a full participant. So from the offensive side of things, looks like we're heading into this week, somewhat healthy, assuming Coleman's going to be okay. And I think Coleman was still splitting, he was still splitting reps with Big Luke. And Luke actually, I would think, had a better graded game than Coleman did this past week. And Coleman actually went down that I saw, and Luke came in. But yeah, Luke had 50 snaps. Coleman had 22. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see how that's actually not right amount snaps, but we'll see how that goes. What concerns me from an offensive perspective is the Bengals have this guy on their team that is just a all-around badass, Trey Hendrickson. It's a white defensive end. Guy had 17 and a half sacks last year. He had 2 sacks against the Chiefs this past week, and guy can move. So what I'm hoping, and what did not happen week 1 against Tampa, I am hoping that Kingsbury gives Luke or Coleman or whoever in the world is lining up there some help, because Hendrickson primarily rushes across left tackle. He has moved around, but we need to see those guys get some help to make sure Jaden can get that ball out and hit Noah or hit Zach or whoever it may be. Terry having his breakout game for you, because you got to keep him out of Jaden's face and make sure he's got some time to chuck that ball down the field.
Well, you know as well as I do that when you have a defensive end that rushes hard like that, I see possibly a lot of read option or some type of RPO combination. So I think that Kingsbury knows that just as well as you spotted those numbers off. Kingsbury knows it. We know it. So read option, slow him down a little bit. You'll see a lot of chipping, tight end, the back end sets. We've got it, bro. We have it. There shouldn't be anything that's new to us at this point. Yeah, Jaden is still, he's a rook, but he's seen a lot. A lot of defenses have thrown a lot of things at him, and as long as he can keep his jitters down, I think that he'll be okay. I really do. And so we'll be prepared for that.
Since he's given up 288 yards a game, I mean, they are 10th in total yards defense wise, and we are 21st at that point. So we're not going to win just a shootout. I just don't think that's going to happen. So we're going to have to get some punts.
Time of possession.
Time possession is key, but you got to score with that time you got. We said it on Victory Monday. That game plan isn't going to beat a good team, and the Giants are not a good team. The Bengals, even though they dropped 6 spots in the NFL power ranking, they're still a damn good team. And Vegas has them as 7.5-point favorites in this game. So don't know if they're going to cover. Who knows what's going to happen there, but they're not at the point of just putting that number out there if they didn't think there was any kind of meat behind it. But for you, give me 3 things that have to happen. The Commanders win if
you keep your offensive penalties down, because that's what stopped us from getting in the end zone. I truly believe is those penalties. Jaden has to come out strong. Offensive line, I'm sorry, defense. You said 3 offensive things or just 3 things?
No, just 3 things in general. The Commanders win if these 3 things happen.
Defense plays stout. Offense, less penalties. Jaden, no jitters.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's making a big deal out of the fact that Jaden, I'm not trying to jinx it. Everyone just keeps talking about it. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks that are starting right now, Jaden has not thrown an interception. Mm-hmm. And they asked him about that during his press conference, and he says, he tries to protect the ball. And I think he was talking about in college, and I'm paraphrasing here, that, you protect the ball, you get to stay on the field. And that's kind of the mindset he's coming with. And Pro Football Focus has a stat called turnover worthy plays and turnover worthy percentage. So if you look at Jaden's turnover worthy plays, jumping inside here on his passing, let's switch that up. He has, according to them, 1 turnover worthy play in the past 2 games. He didn't have a single one in the Giants game, and his percentage is 2.7%. So that's not bad. Not bad at all. I mean, he's definitely protecting the ball and making sure he's good there. And in regards to how he does, I mean, here's where Jaden kind of has an issue. And I'd say most quarterbacks do. When he's under pressure, his grade drops to a 45.3. And his passing grade actually drops to a 26. So when he's under pressure, his running grade moves to an 82, meaning he's looking to run more than pass when he actually is getting under pressure. And then when he's blitzed, right, his passing grade is a 44. His running grade shoots to a 90. So for me this week, the Commanders win if Jaden actually uses his legs to extend the pass, uses his legs to continue to look downfield, to buy himself time in that pocket. Because if I'm the Bengals, yeah, Jaden, use your legs, run out that pocket, get 3 yards, get 4 yards, go run to the sideline, give my guys a chance to hit you. What I don't want you to do is use your legs to get Noah Brown open. Use your legs to have Terry break free. Use your legs to get Zach Ertz down at the seam. So if Jaden, and we saw him grow this past week in the second half, they specifically asked him that during his press conference. They said, Jaden, you had 4 sacks in the first half and 1 sack in the second half. What was the difference? And I was so ready to cut that clip. Jaden said there really wasn't a difference. But to me, the difference was he just felt more comfortable. That's all it was. And we're now going into his 9th quarter of professional football, and he's getting more comfortable. Are the Bengals going to throw something at him he hasn't seen before? I'm sure he will. I'm sure they will. But he has learned each game, and I'm sure he's also going to take a step back. I remember going into that Bills game in week 3 with freaking Sam, what's his face? I can't remember our quarterback last year anymore.
How?
Yeah, I remember going to that Bills game with Hal. We started off 2-0 last year, right? And then we go into that Bills game, and Howell gets sacked 9 times and throws up, I think, how many interceptions that week?
Yeah.
So, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So could he regress? Yeah.
Oh, Paul Abdul, huh?
A little bit. Everyone's a Scat Cat, whatever that guy's name was.
Scat Cat, yeah. Paul Abdul. All right. Opposites attract. Well, this opposite hopes that Jaden figures it out. And like you said, he gets it done and he extends the play with his feet. And that way he can get the ball down the field just for a couple more seconds.
And I'm right there with you, though. They cannot just shoot themselves in the foot. They've got to limit these offensive penalties. And it's going to be loud in the jungle, man. Cincy is a loud environment to be in and to play in. So this offensive line, they can't just handicap their quarterback and handicap their offense. They have got to keep that stat sheet clean. And last for me, what were you saying?
No, I was just going to say, well, I don't know if you've looked at the weather report, but they're calling for possibly evening rain. So that could make an offense one-dimensional. So we'll see.
That worries me a little bit because, we'll see what happens with him slipping and sliding and trying to move around that pocket. But the last thing for me is I need to get a pass rush, man. Joe Burrow is not a running quarterback. Joe does not scramble and move down the field like Baker or like Daniel Jones. He has 10 carries for 24 yards, right? He's been sacked 6 times, right? They can get to Joe. It was harder to get to Daniel and harder to get to Baker, but Joe's not a statue. He will move and dance around that pocket, but he's not looking to extend with his legs for the most part. So I need John and Duran and Cleveland Farrell and whoever else is going to be out there to actually get his jersey dirty. And it's going to be it's a necessity because our secondary is just flat out weak. And oh, by the way, Benjamin St. Juice limited today on the injury report with a groin. Quan Martin limited with a hamstring, right? Guess who's coming back? T. Higgins for the Bengals will be back this week, right? They already have.
Wow. Okay.
He'll be back. Jamar Chase has been back, and he's just getting into shape because he held out all the preseason. So we talked about it last week. The best way to fix a bad secondary is to get a good pass rush. Well, John and Duran were bitching that they got double teamed and triple teamed last week. Well, someone else should be able to bust through because they're getting single teamed at that point. It's just hat on hat, right? Let me see someone else do something. Maybe Johnny Newton, because Johnny should be playing this week. Maybe it's Farrell again. Maybe it's Luvu. But whoever it is, you got to hit Burrow and don't give him time.
Well, do you think that this could possibly be a breakout game for Jamin Davis? Do you think Davis is coming back this season, this game rather, not season, but this game? And also, do you think he's got a chip on his shoulder for being held out last week? And I know that they said, hey, we wanted to get more tackles, rotation, and yada, yada, yada. I hear you. But as a player, for me, if I was playing, I'd be like, no, you took me out because you didn't think that I was a beast enough. I don't care what anybody says. You think Dallas is taking Micah Parsons out to add more tackles? No, they're not. So Jamin needs to put that chip back on his shoulder, if he ever had one, and go straight dog on him. I mean, just monkey screw him all up so that he can say, no, I'm the man, and you made a mistake. Even though we won against the Giants, you made a mistake in taking me out. Because if he was a true beast, they would have figured out another way to get those tackles rotated. I just believe that. So maybe this is a way to get that beast out of Jamin, because you're in the National Football League. I don't think anybody that's there just is comfortable with being a healthy scratch. I don't see that.
I hate to break it to Jamin Davis fans out there, but he's last on the depth chart for a reason. He is not a true defensive end. The guy is tiny, right? And just size-wise, he has speed, but he's a liability in regards to his size. I don't think Jamin's going to play this game. And even if he did play this game, I don't think he's going to get a ton of snaps, right? And on top of that, like, if you go back and look at the actual Bucs game that he did play, when we were down by how much, Jamin actually barely got any snaps that game. Even though he did well, he still barely got any snaps that game, and we're losing the game. So wouldn't you want him to get some reps? So I think it is what it is. Jamin, looking at this, had 13 snaps that game. I just think that Jamin's a first-round pick, that they still have equity in him. It doesn't make sense to cut him. So when the situation makes sense, they'll put him out there. But when the situation doesn't make sense, he's one of the first scratches, because even though you have a 53, you don't dress 53 on game day. I know you know that, but some of the actual listeners might not know that. So that's why Jamin got scratched. And they want to bring Johnny Newton on. I really think that they want Newton to get as many reps as he possibly can, hoping Newton comes on and they could potentially trade, I hate to say it, but a John Allen, because John's contract isn't exactly the most team attractive at this point. Doesn't have a ton of money. People are talking about John potentially holding out or wanting to get traded. John made those comments in the offseason about going to play for a contender and not wanting to be here for a rebuild. I'm not saying any of that has to do anything with this. Just from a financial perspective, John doesn't have any money he's guaranteed on his deal. So if Johnny Newton actually works out, and the only way to find that out is to get the young man reps and get him out there, which they have been doing. He's on a pitch count. So since he's still on a pitch count, you've got to bring someone else in and take some of those reps away. And I think that's what's going to stop Jamin from actually stepping on the field.
Well, if by chance that time does come, he better make the best of it. And I mean, he better just be a dog if he can. If he can't, then like you said, then so be it. They see more than what I see or you see. So if I just feel as though he could be that X factor, or maybe there's someone else who they feel can be the X factor. Who did we bring in? We brought in a player we just put on the practice squad because one of our players just went to Dallas, back to Dallas. So I don't know who the kid is, but I'm thinking
he's not gonna come up. They got let's see here.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna come up.
Justin Hollins.
Hollins, yeah. I'm not gonna say he's gonna come up, but maybe not this week he's not. But they brought him in for a reason to possibly do something down the line to see what he has in the gas tank. Davis, I'm just hoping that he makes the best of his opportunity when the time comes, whenever that may be. Because, hey, you get a taste of being a starter for 2 years, you want to start, unless he's saying, all right, you know what? I'm getting the same amount of money if I start and play if I don't. So I would like to believe that he doesn't think that way, but could be.
I mean, the competitor, you'd like to think, wants to do whatever he can to be out there. I thought before training camp came around, or before the preseason games came around, that Jamin was going to split reps. He was going to be a linebacker and a defensive end, that they were going to have his hand in the dirt at that point, kind of like a Kerrigan. No, he is not listed on the depth chart as a linebacker at all. And that surprised me. I mean, our linebackers, depth chart wise, you got Frankie Louvu, Nick Bellor, Dominique Hampton, right? You've got Bobby Wagner, Michael Walker, and that's it. You mean to tell me that Jamin Davis isn't better than Dominique Hampton or Nick Bellor? That's just, it boggles my mind. But this coaching staff doesn't think he is. So they're having those guys dress over Jamin. And maybe it's because they play special teams and Jamin doesn't. If I'm Jamin, I'm playing special teams. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure that I dress on game day, because odds are they're going to get rid of him this offseason. And he's got to put up tape for someone else. The tape he has over the past 4 years ain't good enough to get paid next year.
No. And like you said, the competitor in me says, "Hey, play hard." But then again, some guys like, I don't have to go through all these drills, and I'm still getting this money, because he still is getting first round draft pick money until what? Until at least 2 years, 3 years.
Nah, this season. That's it.
This season, okay. So if he invested his money properly, maybe he's like, I can retire. I don't know, but moving on from there, I just would like to see the kid flourish. I mean, and I think that there's something there with him. It's just we haven't found it yet, and you never know. Like you said, the tape could be there for somebody else to say, I know exactly where to put this kid, and we can make him do this on our defense.
Yeah, I mean, he leaves here, whatever happens, hey, wish him all the best. But someone needs to step up and get a pass rush. Someone needs to get there, because if you got John Anderon taking up 4 guys, then send a safety, send a backer, send someone in there, Joe Witt, to get freaking Joe Burrow down, because our corners are not going to be able to hang with Jamar Chase. I'm sorry, Noah Igbenogany is not the fastest guy out there. They're going to be playing a decent amount of zone this week, is my guess, especially right now. If St. Juice really has a bad groin, those don't heal overnight, right? I mean, it is what it is. So you got to get a rush to not let him sit back there and pick you apart. And I was looking at the next gen stats for Joe Burrow. His average time to throw is 2.73 seconds. So he's getting rid of that ball decently quick. So if you can't get there, get your hands up, do something, because the defense has got to get a stop and actually do something when push comes to shove. Because these are Tampa Bay-like wide receivers. The Giants had Neighbors. That's it. Right. Mm-hmm. These guys, I don't want to say are as good as Mike Evans, because Evans is a hoffer, but Jamar Chase is no joke, and neither is Higgins. So we'll see what's going to happen this week. But heading into it, was that your official pick? You taking Cincy with the dub? What are you thinking?
You didn't hear me say Cincy with the dub. Don't ever. No, I'm going with the other C team with the dub, the Commanders, baby. I'm telling you, these guys. I believe are gonna play harder underneath the lights, knowing that we are one of three teams that are playing on Monday Night Football, and I feel like we kind of got snubbed by that, but it is
I
what
do
it
too.
is. Yeah,
That's
it
annoying,
is.
man.
Yeah, but hey, it got a game to play. It's still Monday Night Football, so half of the coast is going to be watching us. The other half will be watching the other teams. I'll be there, and I'll probably lose my voice. And too bad it's going to be too late to have victory steak after the game. And I'm not going to get a $2 steak from Denny's or somewhere like that. So that ain't going to happen.
So the first game is the Jags and the Bills that start at 7:30. And then we are the 8:15 game. So it's it's in Buffalo. So both games are what? East Coast time.
Yeah.
That's just odd. You would think that they would make the other game a West Coast game or something. So it's different time zones. You kind of change it up. But I can't take us to win this week. Just being real about it, and I hate ending it with me picking, and I know it pisses a lot of people off, but do I think we cover the 7.5 points? Yes. I don't think we get blown out. I think it's respectable because of Jaden and because of this offense and him not giving up. But I think the guys in our secondary and our defense are just too average to deal with this this Bengals offense that is just waiting to explode. And on top of that, I cannot see the Bengals going 0-3 to start the season, especially when you got that game at home on Monday Night Football.
Underneath the lights, baby, Commanders will persevere. You heard it here first. I called the Philadelphia Eagle game. I called the Pittsburgh game. And I'm calling this Cincinnati game. Commanders will prevail and be on top. 2-1.
At one point, you just call every game, and then eventually you just point back to the ones that hit. But, because you also called the Buccaneers game. I'm just saying.
Man, who remembers that? I mean, come on, man. This is a different day, Let me rain on my parade.
Hey, I hope you're right, brother. I hope you're right, and we get a victory Tuesday. That'd be sweet.
It sure would be, man. I need it in my life. I do. Hey, I hear the music playing. Bringing another episode of the DMV Mess Hall to a close. Thank you guys for listening. Remember, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Commanders 2-1. Rally Captain called it. We're out.